Well, as collective bargaining members, you are very familiar with coffee and tea breaks. But a very sensible suggestion was put to me that at this point we need a pee break. So perhaps we'll... Pardon me? Oh, thank you. So I suggest we break for 10 minutes and resume after that, okay?
10 minutes?
Okay, let me dig deep here. Okay, here we are. This question comes from Frank, the mysterious Frank W. from local... Oh, wait a minute. No, I can't do this.
He's my regent.
Yeah, I can't do it. Sorry. I apologize, but unfortunately, as I stipulated the rules I'm governed by, stipulate it can only be questions from Region 5. Okay? So let me try again. Sorry about that. Okay. So, this question comes from Jonathan Singer of Local 560. Is Jonathan here? Where is Jonathan? Oh, there he is. Okay, good, good. Okay, the question is this. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you believe is the level of political commitment, enthusiasm, and activism of the general membership? 10, the score of 10 being burning commitment, and the score of 1 is total apathy. Hey, I just read it.
You got the answer for us?
Yeah, no.
There's a lot of candy you're reading, aren't you?
You're the candidates. Any rate, so let's see, who did we start with last time? I think it was Nancy. Yeah. Yeah, so this time we'll start with James.
You know, when you travel within your own region, you know your own region. You get to see and get to know the memberships. And in political activism down here on the political scale, members are a little more active than they might be where I come from, which is northwestern Ontario, where we have a total of about 5,700 members. You have that probably one building down here. And so when I talk to my members up there, you can tell them what you want to do politically, and they'll look at you and say, that's fine, but don't dare phone me. They don't want to hear from you. They don't want to know nothing. But other places you go, they actually want to listen to what you've got to say and hear it. What do I think it is? I think it's varied across the province, and we have to gauge it, how you see it. I would tend to think that members are a lot more plugged in than we think they are sometimes, even though we're all activists here, and we hear members saying, well, I'm not sure that I want to be involved in this campaign or that because of what's it going to do for me. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to members looking and seeing what's going on in reality, they tend to get plugged in pretty quick. My own local, for example, for many years, they would sit there and they wouldn't show up for anything. You know, it was like you could talk about apathy in one sense, but not just the political scale, but you know, in our activism scale life as well. They wouldn't show up for anything, but whenever we got down to the fight with an employer, whether it was a CAT or a BPS or an OPS local, they were there, and all of a sudden they were tuned in. They knew what was going on. They may have faded away after. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go around a 7. I think they're more plugged in than we give them credit for. Thank you.
Good question. I think it depends on the local, depends on the issue of the day, and it depends on the state of the local. So I've been places and I've heard things where we have locals that just is the president doing everything, can't even get stewards. I'd say that's a 1. But I've been places where, you know, they're on the picket line and they're on strike, or they're taking a strike vote, or they're running a campaign in their community. I'd say that's a 10. So I think it's all over the map. I think the trick for us is in the next 2 years to try to get everybody up to keep all those ones that are really highly mobilized, try and take that infectious kind of mood and that enthusiasm, have spread that around, bring all the ones up to about a 5. I encourage locals. We sent out letters to locals. You know, I really wish locals would join the area councils where they exist. Toronto's got an active area council. We're working hard in Region 4 to revitalize, and we used to do the campaigns through area councils. I'd like to do that again. Join labor councils are crucial, I think. When I was local president, we actually had elections for the seats to the labor council. I couldn't believe it. People were actually contested. So I actually gave up my seat at the Labor Council so 4 delegates could go. And I went as an observer, but I had I made sure I had an area council seat because that was opposite, right? But I still went to Labor Council. So I think it's all over the map. And I think if the employer's coming after your local person, your workplace person, you get revved up pretty quick. So that's kind of how I see it. Thanks, brother.
Well, I've been very fortunate because I sat with different corrections teams and I traveled all over the province for 11 years. And you know what? Some locals were really strong, some locals were really weak. To give a broad-based rating system, well, brother, I'm going to say that the leadership, for the most part, is engaged. They want information. They're asking for information. If you give them that information, they're 9s and 10s. The membership sometimes isn't so engaged, but they're still 7s. They want the information. If you give it to them, trust me, they'll come running. They'll be looking for it. They'll come to your local meetings. I used to run local meetings, and I always put a contentious issue on there. And surprisingly, most times that contentious issue would actually be solved by the time they got there. But they came out to the meetings. They came out to the meetings, and they had ideas, and we shared information with them. That was the great thing. Area councils, labor councils, those are so important. You know why they're important? Because a lot of times you feel really beat up in your own locals by your members, and that is actually a support group. Area councils, labor councils, they're support groups for you as leaders. Get out to them. OPSU, we've got a great plan. You're going to get almost all your local money back. Join the area. This is your plug, by the way, Bob. For you. Area councils, this is where you do it. You got to get in here. I'm telling you, you're going to share ideas, and you're going to talk about the leadership, and you're going to talk about how you want to drive this union forward. So I think that's the idea to do. So, brother, if I'm going with that, I'm going to go with a 9 and a 7. All right? Thanks.
Thank you for the plug, Eddie.
No problem.
I feel like I'm Thanks, Jonathan, for the question. Since we get to quote people, a few officers ago, and I was really proud, Smokey Thomas said that Region 5 was a machine. And I felt really proud of that because, in fact, we can mobilize faster and quicker than anybody I know these days. We can pull off a phone bank faster than anyone I know these days. And we weren't always like that. Folks in this room would remember, those affiliated, not affiliated with area council, would remember that there would maybe be 10 or 15 people at an area council meeting. And now, when you come to an area council meeting, there's 60, 65, 70 people. Depending on the issue, like tonight, you can see that it's standing room only. So I'm going to say that Region 5's a 9.5, burning its way to 10. So I think we're okay. We know that every sector, every division is a little bit stronger and a little bit weaker depending on what part of the province they might be in. And I think that that actually has to do with the kinds of messages that people may or may not be getting, the kind of activity that's going on in their region. If you've got board members in your region that spend a lot of time in Toronto, it might be difficult to get activities going on in the region. So I think it's a good idea to tap into your activists, your activist base, because I actually think that the activists are totally plugged in. And again, I think we saw that we did the Invest in Ontario campaign. We went across the province. Members were totally engaged. They told us that by the amount of times that they went to the wage loss calculator and calculated the amount of money they'd be losing. So we know that it's just about that message trickling down. So I'm going to be a little bit optimistic and say we're about an 8, but really moving fast towards a 10. Thank you very much.